You're watching Central Illinois on the Record.
All right, welcome back. We are joined by Bartonville Police Chief Brian Fengel. Thank you very much for being here.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for having me.
All right, so for folks who may not be caught up in the politics of who's running for the local sheriff in Peoria County, you are the Democratic nominee. Obviously, you made it through unchallenged. You're taking on the incumbent, Brian Asbell, and it is a hot summer, and the two of you obviously will meet in November. And one of the things I noticed recently in this race, you've been highlighting it on social media, it's maybe one of the more recent things that I've noticed you're dealing with, and we've seen the signs around Peoria County, some vandalism.
Yeah, vandalism, political signs. This goes on all the time. It doesn't matter what political organization, Democrat, Republican, Independents, it doesn't really matter. What we're just trying to get out there is just don't damage signs, just don't steal signs, because they are very costly to people. So that's the kind of message we're sending out. Just, you know, leave the signs alone. It doesn't matter what political party you affiliate with. We don't condone it. My campaign does not condone it at all.
Pretty simple message.
Yes.
One of the other things I wanted to touch on, because it's been in the news recently, obviously State's Attorney Jerry Brady just released his findings, finding there was no criminal wrongdoing by the Peoria Police in relation to a deadly shooting of Daniel L. Back in February. But questions have been raised again about the Peoria Police Department and transparency and body cameras. And back a few months, there was the questions about a grant, and Lauren Marion was on WMBD talking with our Eugene Daniel about body cameras, and the department there is in a pilot program. Your department has been using body cameras. Talk about your department and the use of body cameras and where you're at as far as that goes.
Yeah, we've had body cams for about a little over a year and a half. Basically what I did is I went out, cut through the red tape, got these body cams, spoke with the officers, and we found them to be a positive thing. It protects the officer, it protects the citizens, and then there's body cams don't show everything, okay? So it's a tool for law enforcement to use, and that's what we've used. We found it to be very helpful and transparent, and that's what it's all about.
What do you think is, I guess, you know, a disadvantage of body cameras? Because everybody talks about the advantage of body cameras, like you said, it shows a lot, it enhances transparency, but is there a disadvantage in any way that you see to body cameras?
Well, it's like any other camera. When your camera is right here, it's not going to see the whole picture, it's not going to see behind you. If you get more officers there that are there, then you'll get a bigger picture of what's going on. But it's a tool for law enforcement to put trust back in the community for the officer and the community. Because if you make a complaint, all you have to do is pull up the camera and get an idea of what transpired. It's a tool that we use in law enforcement, and it's been a very good tool that we've had.
I don't want to say that it's necessarily been lost in the news cycle, but obviously news cycles turn over very quickly, and different topics get highlighted on any given day, and certainly in a heated political climate, it changes. But something that continues to persist in Central Illinois and beyond is this opioid crisis. And I had a conversation with Erica Harold, who is also appearing on this episode of Central Illinois on the Record. And she and I talked about the opioid crisis and the resources that have been made available to communities, either at the state level or trickling down from the federal government. Obviously, you're on the front lines dealing with it from a law enforcement perspective. From where you sit, what's your sense of how the opioid crisis is being dealt with, both on a law enforcement level and from a health crisis perspective?
Well, I think the way we can make this better, it's a community effort, law enforcement, partnering with people, and that's what I've done over the years, is partner with people. We were the first agency to use Narcan in Peoria County. We started a Safe Passages program, and basically networking and try to get people help that need the help. Because the message I've heard over and over, there's just not enough bed space, it's hard to get people into recovery. Quick story, the reason we went to Narcan, there was a young individual that had overdosed. I was the first person there, and she was literally dying in front of me. So at that point forward, I said, we're going to have to do something. And as you saw in the news and everywhere else, it is truly an epidemic. But it's going to take everybody to get sat down at the table and say, what can we do? And we might have to do it in bits and pieces, baby steps to get there. But I think the groups that are in Peoria County that are working with this, and I've worked with, are making strides to try to make it better for the community. It's truly an epidemic.
While Narcan and naloxone is certainly a life-saving drug, do you think that it's enough of an answer? There are some doctors who say that, while it does save a life, in the end, while it does save the life, it also can increase that need for someone to want an opioid again, because it will take more of that drug to get high the next time, because there's not, they're not, it gets rid of the high that they're having, but they're still an addict at the end of the day.
Sure, and that's why you need to bring everyone to the table, get everybody sat down and figure out how we can make this work better, because it truly is. If you look at the numbers and the deaths, we need to figure out how we're going to make this and make it to go forward and make it better for people.
Have you seen in your city the same people overdosing?
Yes, we have.
So how do you stop that cycle?
Basically, the Safe Passages program to try to get them in treatment, get this cycle stopped the best you can. And you know the old adage, if somebody wants the help, they'll get the help, but sometimes it's very difficult. But at least you have the services for them you can provide. And that's the number one thing I hear. I toured a lot of facilities to look at when we did it. The beds aren't there to get the help. So if somebody wants help within the first 12 or 24 hours, they're not able to get in. So that's why law enforcement is helping them get into the facilities.
Do you feel like the Safe Passages program is being utilized correctly? Is it successful? Are those people who you say you've seen repeatedly overdosing, are you able to get them into that program? Yes,
the ones that want to go into it, the ones that will qualify for it, because there's a qualification to get into it.
So, I mean, what's next then for those people who you see repeatedly, overdosing, that you have to continue to use Narcan on? What's next for those people then?
I think what you need to do is get with the health providers, sit them down at the table and see what we can do. It's a community issue, community problem. Like I said, there's a lot of good groups out there that have been hitting the streets, trying to get things done. And I think it is helping community-wide, but we got to continue to push that out into the community.
So how does what you're doing in Bartonville translate on a broader scale to the sheriff's office?
Basically, from day one, I said I'm going to implement the Safe Passages program because we've got an epidemic. We need everybody to get down. The sheriff is the chief law enforcement official to get everybody to the table and say, folks, let's do something here and see how we're going to make this better.
So what's next for the Fengel for Sheriff campaign this summer and into the fall?
What we're going to be doing is going door to door talking to the people. I'm running for the people of Peoria County. We have an appointed person there right now. So the people are the ones that are going to employ the next sheriff, and that's who I want to talk to. I'm going door to door to find out what their concerns are and listening to them to find out what I need to do when I become sheriff to make it better for people in Peoria County.
All right, Bartonville Police Chief Brian Fengel is running for Sheriff of Peoria County. Thank you very much for your time. We certainly appreciate it. Best of luck for the rest of this summer and into the fall.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.